Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Brian Owens. I am music director and creative in residence here at the World Chess Hall of Fame. We want to welcome you to another episode of The Next Move podcast. We have a great artist on with us tonight. But first of all, we got to give a shout out to Rex and Jeannie Sinkfield, our gracious host here who make all of this possible. To my guys at Silverback, Nate, making it sound good. And to Heil Sound, who sponsors all of our microphones. We really love you because your mics are dope. So again, this is the Next Move podcast where we talk to all of our artists who are performing in the series just about creative strategy. Chess is a game of strategy and improvisation. And that is also true about being a creative and an entrepreneur. It takes a lot of those two things. And so we like to give some tidbits to those who may be trying to make this their living. So
Lord.
Tonight, you just heard her a little bit. Tonight, I can't remember when I met this young lady. I think it was almost like 7, 8 years ago.
You were one of the first people I met on the music scene in St. Louis.
Didn't we meet doing a Funky Butt Christmas gig?
No, we met at the Recording Academy event.
That's where we met?
Yes. I remember now. And I played my song St. Louis.
Oh, yeah,
and you were like, ooh, we should do the St. Louis Symphony with this, which we should still do.
Yeah, you can. It's not out of the question.
But that is where we met.
Wait, you're talking and I haven't introduced you.
Sorry.
That's not how this goes.
Sorry.
But you jumped into, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, she is from New York. She moved to St. Louis for love, and now she's in Atlanta for business. Ladies and gentlemen, Lydia Caesar. Yeah, you can clap.
Thank you.
So we always kind of talk about like how we met.
Yes.
At the Grammy event, which is good to know that the Grammy Association here.
And now you're a governor.
I am a governor of the
That
Grammy
part.
chapter, Memphis chapter. So
I ran for that position last year. I lost.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It wasn't my fault.
I know it wasn't your fault. It wasn't anybody's fault. I mean, I was happy to be nominated at all. So, but I didn't win, and it's okay.
Well, you're doing other things. You're a baller. You're doing other things.
Yes.
So let's talk about, how did you get to St. Louis?
Yeah.
Because you were in New York. You were performing on BET. You were doing your thing.
Yeah, that's true.
And then what happened?
So, and I tell this story before one of my songs that I'll be doing tonight. But I met a guy. This is how like so many stories happen, right? You meet somebody, and somebody had a friend of mine who was in the music business, and he was a producer. He brought this guy to my show. And we met at the show, and, I think he had a girlfriend at the time. I had a boyfriend at the time, but I definitely noticed him. I was like, okay, that guy is really cute. And we stayed connected on social media just for like networking purposes. He was in the industry too. And
networking purposes.
Well, for real,
yeah.
At first that's what it really was, because I noticed he was handsome, but it wasn't like, I was going to do anything about it, because I was in a relationship, and I was happy too.
I hear you.
That relationship went south, and I was just, I was outside. I was dating. I was like, that one guy, I don't see him posting his girl no more, so I slid in his DMs on Facebook. This part of the story nobody knows. And I said, hey, do you have a girl? Because I don't play that. And he said, no, I'm single. And I was like, you should take me on a date sometime. And he said, I should. And I was like, so we exchanged numbers, and he took me out. And at first it was just like, I don't know. This guy was cute. I was like, we're just gonna kick it. But since that first date, literally, we have spoken every single day since that date.
What's that date?
That was in 2011. I want to say, well, the first date for sure was July 13th. No.
You remember that?
June. Yes, because we still celebrate it. We just hit 12 years of us being together. Married is 9. But from that day, we spoke every day. We had like a really great summer. I wrote this song about him, and he loved this song. And, we've stayed together, we got together, we remained together. And then after about 3 years, he came here to teach at the Extreme Institute. Yeah. And he was doing a lot of jobs at that time. Like he's a recording engineer, so he was engineering for the rapper Jim Jones. But it's not always what you think it is in the music industry, because he was making money, but not as much as he wanted to make. So he was like looking at other jobs. He interviewed at AT&T. I'm like, thank God you never got that job. No shade. But that would have been less interesting as our lives are now, you know? And he was real upset. And he interviewed at Apple too, because he's a tech person. He didn't get either. And he qualified for both those jobs. But God was like, no, you're not doing that. So he got the job at EI, and he asked me to move to St. Louis. And I was like, my ring finger is real naked. And I ain't moving to another city for no boyfriend, ever. So nothing about our relationship has been traditional, because he didn't like get on one knee and propose, but he was like, we had always talked about marriage, and he said, you know that's what I want to do. You know I want to marry you, and you know, let's do it. We had a very untraditional wedding. It was still like 50 people, but it was at my house. If I had announced my wedding to the world, it would have been like a 350 people type of wedding, but we kept it small. And his mom came out. She's right here on the first row, my mama. And we got married. A small wedding with Jamaican food and Junior's cheesecake at our house. My dad officiated. My daughter sang. And the rest is history.
And you wrote a song about it.
And I wrote a song about it.
Now, did you write the song St. Louis before or after?
Before. I wrote St. Louis. We were dating for so short. Maybe 2 weeks.
And you wrote St. Louis,
yes.
I Love
and
You?
It was so early. I texted him, like, while I was in the studio, I was like, where are you from, New Orleans? Because I couldn't remember. And I wanted to make sure I put the right city in the song. And I don't know why. I've noticed a lot of people call St. Louis New Orleans. Like when I said I was moving to St. Louis, everyone in New York was like, oh, are you ready for New Orleans? And I'm like, it's not New Orleans, it's St. Louis. I don't know why that's a thing, but I did it too. When he told me he was from St. Louis, in my mind, I was like, I know he said he's from some other place. I think it's New Orleans. And I texted him, he was like, no, it's St. Louis. I was like, whew. That would have been weird. If I wrote the song and called it New Orleans, he'd have been like, yeah, but that's not my city. Yeah, but it was early on, like 2 weeks. I was just infatuated. And I didn't know where the relationship was going. I had no idea. But I knew it was a good song, because the music was right, everything. It just felt like the perfect love song.
But you had stuff going on, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, what you mean?
Because, I mean, one of the things we're going to get into is when we talk about strategy, improvisation, you know, the way that life can kind of throw stuff at you, especially if you're a creative who doesn't see your whole life in the context of what you do. Like, yeah, I sing, I write music, I produce.
Right, but I do.
But I'm also a husband and a father and a like it's other things that kind of define you.
Yeah.
And I got that sense from you, like, you moved. It wasn't like, oh, I'm not giving, I got all this stuff going on, and it's, you. I
was in the play position to move. Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying.
See what I'm
saying? There was a little fight.
Oh, let's talk.
There was a little tussle.
Let's
at first, I was like, absolutely not. Why would I move to St. Louis? I live in New York. I live in the best city for what I do. And you do too. What are we gonna do in St. Louis? That was my big question. I was very nervous, and because I was performing in New York all the time. Like you said, I had done 106 and BET Music Matters, and I had been at SOBs and BB King's, which is closed now. I was hosting shows. I was doing so many things in New York, building my brand. And I said, why would I leave all that for St. Louis? There's nothing there. This is what I told him. And he was like, it wasn't just a one conversation like, hey, baby, let's move. And I was like, put a ring on it and I'm out. No, I fought it at first. And he even came, he told me he was just gonna, he said, okay, fine, I'll just do 1 semester at EI. Moved here, did a semester. And he said, I'm just gonna stay at mom's house. Next thing you know, he's getting a car. He talking about he need a place. I'm like, dude, you're supposed to be coming right back. you know? And so that's how the conversation just evolved. And he's like, I really want you to come here. And then one day we had a real sit down and really discussed. And he told me, like, I'm gonna take care of you. I'm gonna provide always. I'm gonna make sure that your dreams don't die. And I said, okay. I said, okay. We sat down with my parents, and my mom said the same thing. You know, Lydia's a hustler. She needs to be able to hustle. That's my mom. That's how she talks.
Is that her accent?
Yeah, she's Jamaican, but she's very proper speaking Jamaican. And, you know, everyone just wanted to make sure that I didn't just move to St. Louis and then just disappear. So I took the leap of faith and moved. And I honestly can't say that it was the wrong choice, because I got here and hit the ground running. I was like, and that's what a lot of people in New York were like, it's a smaller city. You could be a big fish in a small pond. Like, look at it like that. Like, try to find the things about it that make sense. And I'm sure there's a scene there. And in my mind, I'm like, ain't no scene in St. Louis. I ain't never heard of St. Louis except for Nelly. I'm like, Nelly popped off how long ago? Ain't nobody checking for St. Louis. But I came. And I literally love this place.
Yeah.
I love St. Louis. Like,
in more ways than one.
In more ways than one. Yes, it's an amazing city. I feel like St. Louis needs PR. Like, I say, you know how Jamaica had the come to Jamaica and everybody go? Yeah, I feel like St. Louis needs like commercials all over the nation, highlighting all the amazing things. Like, people need to know about just there's like the food here. There's like the Loop, the Central West End, downtown. There's so many this is a vacation city. Like, families should be rushing here with their kids to vacate.
Well, not to vacate.
Well, you don't want
them to vacate.
to
vacate.
To vacate. Yes.
I mean, well, I think one of the challenges is that like St. Louis, when you say St. Louis needs to do PR, too often what's happened is like we've allowed the outside to do PR for us.
Ah, right.
Like, we don't do our own PR now. Like, organizations like Greater STL, STL.org, even the World Chess. I mean, think about this. We're sitting in the World Chess Hall of Fame, and it's not called the World Chess Hall of Fame just because they thought the name sounded cool.
Right.
Like, this is literally, right
world.
now, the center of chess for the entire world.
Amazing. That's amazing.
Right? And chess is a huge sport. It's like one of those things where, like, you don't realize how significant it is until you, like, step into it. That's how soccer was for me.
Yeah.
I grew up, I knew all my friends played soccer. We played basketball and football. Then you find out, oh, it's the biggest sport in the planet.
Right.
Right? Because in this country, we tend to like we kind of be myopic in our views of things. And so with St. Louis, it's like, I agree that we need PR, but I think we need internal PR as much as we need external PR. It's like convincing the people and the creatives that live here that not only is it worth being here, but there's a wealth of opportunity here, there's a wealth of resources here. And what we're finding too is that post-pandemic, a lot of people who were from here, especially musicians, they starting to move back. Because they like, cats getting older.
It's a jungle out there.
Families here. The coast is expensive.
Yeah.
It's expensive, y'all.
It is.
And so, did you find that, like, even though there's like this perception of a wealth of resources in New York, that being here, there was easier access to stuff?
Yes.
Because that's what I
Even
find.
like gigs, like in the bigger cities, it's very saturated. I worked a lot when I got to St. Louis. I did cover band work in New York too, but the cover band work here was way better. The pay was better. It's just less, the bands were way bigger in New York and a lot more. It's just when it's an oversaturated market, there's just less to go around. Even though it's a bigger space, you would think it's easier, but it's not. And I worked a lot in St. Louis. I mean, look, I'm back.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
So it's definitely a misconception. I just think that as artists, we naturally, because look, I moved, right? So then there's that question. Well, then why did you move? Because I still, first of all, I want to act. And
Which that might be coming back too. So don't.
okay, listen,
I'm
St.
just
Louis,
telling
the
you.
door is always
I'm
open
just
in
telling
St.
you,
Louis.
We just got the film tax credits back.
Oh, that's great. And
So-
because I said that for
Yeah.
years, like that.
Yeah.
So that people will come bring
Yeah,
films here
yeah,
and stuff,
yeah.
you know. But there's that in Atlanta. Also, Atlanta's not very far from St. Louis, so I can always come back. I could do the back and forth thing. Also, you know, I just felt like I just wanted more than what St. Louis could give.
I hear you.
And not in a bad way, just growth. And also we wanted to buy a house, and the housing market in Georgia was great. The house is popping, and we got a great, you know, financial situation on it. It just made sense. So we made the move, but we're not gone for good. Like we have roots planted here.
Obviously.
Yes, my mom in love is here.
Obviously.
We own property here, which I actually want to do like a possible music venue with it. Who knows what it will be, but we have roots.
You still
in the
have
ground.
roots here.
Yeah, we always will.
So my other question.
It's my husband's hometown, City.
Yeah. So, but I guess then my other question leads us to like, you know, since I've known you, you've evolved in kind of being not just an artist, but being like a creative.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that we really try to press is this idea of like starting to call ourselves creatives versus calling ourselves artists. Because when we tell people that we're artists, generally they ask, oh, so do you paint?
Right. No, you're right.
But when we say, so what do you do? And you say, no, I'm a creative.
Yeah.
They go, oh.
I create things.
Okay, so what does that entail? Or
Yeah.
what do you, so explain more. So
And that's kind of what you have to be now.
Yeah, but I feel like you've evolved from just doing the music stuff to now you're doing, you know, like your husband, you're doing courses and doing like online, and you found a whole different a whole different kind of perspective to the model of the business of being creative.
Yes.
Do you think that, so that's the first part, explain that, and then do you think that like, because you moved here, you had one kid, and now you got...
Well, we each had one.
You each had one.
And now we got 4.
So you had 2.
I had 2.
So in St. Louis, you had 2.
In St. Louis, I had 1 and conceived 1.
Oh, is this born in Atlanta?
Madi, the latest, was born in Atlanta.
So this is new.
Yeah, I mean, I moved from St. Louis September 30th of last year. So it's almost a year. And I was 8 months pregnant.
What?
Yeah, I was
I
big.
didn't know it was that new.
Yes, and having the baby and moving was a whole situation. It was.
So do you find
it was a lot.
So did you find that like your like transition, and I think too as being like, I'm not gonna say older, but we're seasoned creatives.
Okay, that part.
Okay, we're seasoned creatives.
We ain't 21, even though.
No.
But we are 29.
Yeah. And I've been 29 for
a while.
For 13 years. So do you find that like that was part of like as you begin to transition to like, oh, maybe there's other stuff that I can do in the creative space to make money.
And then just learning that like it's not just, you know, there's not gonna be 1,000 Beyoncés.
No.
You know what I mean? And when you just first start out as a creative and you're really good, you're like, I'm about to be the biggest star in the world. And that's on period. And to me, those are still great thoughts. And there is still a big part of me that feels like I am going to achieve that household name status. I don't think I'll ever lose that, not just in music, but in other things. I host and I want to act and all that. I still feel like I'll get there in my level of sharing my talents and gifts with the world. But you learn that you can make a living, a good living, a respectable living, being a creative. You know, gigging and writing songs for people and becoming a vocal coach and, you know, teaching people who say, wow, how did you do that? I can now monetize like teaching, and why not? That's what teachers do. They get paid, right? So artists need to find ways to keep this thing going because you can't do it for free. It costs too much.
Artists have to become creative so that their creativity can play for their art.
That's right. That's a bar.
Like when you're just an artist, and I say this all the time, during the pandemic, all of my friends who were just musicians struggled the most.
Yeah.
They struggled the most.
The gigs dried up,
The gigs
and then
dried
there was
up,
nothing
right?
else.
And that's like what they did. My friends who were creatives, they were like, oh no, man, I had my best year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was editing. I was like doing video for people, like doing content creation. I was consulting on this because people were trying to do distance learning. They didn't know how to do it, so I was consulting in this area. And it's just like the light bulb goes off, and you're like, you know, we're coming to the place where there's so much more opportunity to not depend on an industry to subsidize you.
Yeah.
You can utilize your sell. We always call it, you know, there's 3 parts to every creative: sales, services, and your brand identity. Mm-hmm. We start off and we want the brand identity, the household name,
immediately
to be the thing that pays for us and subsidizes us. When the truth is that for most of us, it's going to be the sales and services.
Yeah.
What can we provide and
Yeah.
how can we help?
Yeah.
If we can recognize those things, then, you know, we become a problem solver. Problem solvers get paid.
That's literally, that's the magic of it.
Yeah.
Give it away, right? Give it to people. Give people knowledge and information. And then you can start to charge for it. They'll pay for it. And you don't like have to give it all away, but you give them a little bit. And then when they want more, because once you start to give them that value, they're going to be like, oh, but what about this? And what about that? And what about this? And then you can start to charge and really, like, that's literally what my husband did on YouTube.
Yeah, he's killing the game with courses. He's got, like, engineering courses.
Yeah, and
that's killing it.
And it started at EI, because the students would be like, hey, what you taught us today? And asking questions about it. And he'd have to keep teaching the same thing. And he was like, I'm going to just put the lessons on YouTube and send the links to the students. And literally, it built a whole new audience on the internet that he wasn't necessarily even expecting. Like, whoa, people really want to know how to do this by themselves.
Yeah.
And it opened up a world of, you know, and it was all for free at first. And once you get the audience, now you can say, okay, you know what? How can I give them even more value and put a dollar amount on it?
I'm telling you, how many of you have ever heard of Peter Martin?
Peter
Martin. 2 people, Peter Martin. Okay, if you know, how many of you have ever heard of Diane Reeves?
Yes.
Okay, Peter Martin is Diane Reeves' music director and has been for, almost 20 years. Peter is from U-City.
Nice.
Right? He moved back here. When Katrina happened, he and his family got displaced. They moved back here because his parents were still here. His wife's parents were still here. And so he ended up just staying because his kids got in school, right? So Peter he started doing online lessons before I can even remember people really doing online lessons. Yeah. He's built a whole company. They do online lessons and online courses for jazz. And they got Diane Reeves doing classes, and like they got Krishna McBride doing courses. They have a podcast. He's created this whole other world, such to the point that he was like, I think I'm going to retire from being the MD.
Wow.
So he's not doing most of the Diane Reeves stuff now. He's doing open studio, right? And it's you know, people forget, like when you're young, you fail to realize that someday you won't be anymore. like when I was in my 20s, I was like, I want to tour.
Right.
I want to go out on the road. I want to do all these shows. Then, you know, you get down the road, you be like, I want to be home.
I'm trying to watch Netflix.
You know what I'm saying?
And still get paid.
Yeah. You like 21 days straight on the road. I'm like, give me 3 and I'm ready
Sounds
to hit
exhausting.
it. Yeah. So it's like, you know, as you look ahead and you start to evolve, you start to see these other opportunities if your mind is open to being a creative as opposed to like, no, there's only one way for me to quote unquote make it. And then you allow your success to be defined by an industry that does not have your best interests at heart.
Very true.
They only want to take advantage.
They don't care.
And it's not their fault. It's built that way. They're built to find the best stock and drive it up as much as they can. And when they can't drive it up anymore, they sell it off and they move on. Yeah. You know, but I like index funds. Yeah. I like index funds, right? Because you have options.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what I've vibed from watching your career is that you kept your priorities as your bottom line and not a perception of success that the outside world would tell you is success.
Right.
Right. So you're like, no, I want to be, as long as I know you're like, I want to be a good wife and I want to be a great mom because I'm going to sing.
I'm gonna. Forever.
But the people that I got to be with the rest of my life, I want to make sure they good.
Yeah.
And I think that you've been rewarded and that you found all these different lanes now that you can rock in.
Thank you for seeing and noticing that. I appreciate it.
Oh, for sure.
Because you never know, you're like, are people picking up what I'm putting down?
Oh, yeah.
So that's encouraging.
Because you can sing. Look, Lydia, it's not like when she says like she has stuff going on, she's a singer. Like, no, had you decided to make some different decisions, y'all would know who Lydia is in a whole different way.
No, for real.
Like
I be making sure like making my husband know.
Yeah.
Listen here now.
Yeah.
Okay. He got me barefoot and pregnant around here.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like it would have
sure.
It would have been a whole different thing.
If you choose, but I'm also a firm believer that you can have it all. You just have to figure out a different way. It may not look exactly how you expected it to look, but you can have career and family. You can be a good wife and a good mom and still do what you love to do that brings you fulfillment.
Yeah.
As an artist, it's you feel choked if you can't put your product out there. If you can't do music and you can't perform, like you need that release.
Yeah.
You need that,
Yeah.
At least I know I need it. So it's really important that I'm able to, even though I'm a wife and a mom and doing that I'm still able to share my gifts, because that's a big part of my purpose.
Well, and I'll tell you this too, because a lot of times, especially that argument gets flipped towards like, well, if you're a female and you're an artist and you want to have kids and stuff, like the things that you're really giving up.
Right.
But I'm going to tell you straight up, if you a dude and you really committed to your family, yeah, it's the same thing.
You giving stuff up too.
Because like, I have 8 kids.
You special. I always tell you that.
Wait. I have 8 kids. How am I going to be on the road 200 days a year?
Right. You can't.
How am I going to, be in and out and in and out and in and out? How am I going to sing certain songs?
Right.
I'm married.
Sure. Yeah.
It's some stuff I'm not singing.
Yeah.
Even if somebody's saying, look, I will give you a deal right now, which just happened. I can give you a deal right now if you can do what this person's doing.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I'm not doing that.
I'm not doing that. And so it's like, what you find is that it's not about whether like you're male or female or older. It's like if you're seeking a certain value proposition in your life that isn't based upon this kind of external success that look good on Instagram.
Yeah.
But then when you like get behind the scenes, you be like, yo, you paid a heavy tax.
Yeah.
For all that stuff that looked like good, you paid a heavy tax for that. And that's one of the things I was like, I don't want to pay a heavy tax for something that is fleeting, subjective, and up to the will of the people.
Yeah.
Because people could be like, Lydia, you so dope. And then 2 years from now be like, Yeah.
They hail you, did they nail you?
Yeah. Then
Literally.
then you gotta go back home and look the people in the face.
The people who you was evil to during the height, and then you're like, hey guys, it's not for sure. And that's, you want to be able to paint your own picture, create your own narrative, design your life, and not leave it in the hands of anybody who's just about making money off your back. That's the takeaway as an artist. You have to, Jay-Z said, I'm not a businessman, I'm a business man. I'm a business personally, right? There's a brand here. And I want to be able to tell the world who I am, what I do, what I bring to the table. I don't want a label to be able to paint me in any old kind of way. I don't want anybody to be able to just, pimp me out. But for lack of a better term.
Because they will.
They will.
For pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
For pennies on the dollar. Do we have any questions for Lydia? Surely we do.
No pressure.
No questions? No questions? Anything. You can ask anything. Literally anything. Favorite color? Yes.
Lydia, you were in 3 different cities, New York, St. Louis, and Atlanta. Can you name some significant differences you saw between those 3 cities?
That's a good question.
Yeah. So Atlanta's going to be a very fresh and new perspective because I'm just 1 year in and I'm just like getting back to work because I have a 11-month-old. So New York is a melting pot. So what you notice in New York, especially on the music scene, is that it's a place full of people from other places. People go there to make it. So there's a less of like a hometownness to New York. Don't get it twisted. New York has got mad pride. Like, I will rep Queens till the day I die. But the scene is more saturated with just all different types of people. And I will say that I feel like New York has a very supportive music scene. Like, the musicians in New York really heavily support one another. Everybody's eating together. That's why I feel like the city succeeds, because people come with such a burning desire to succeed. They work together, they create together, and everybody wins. St. Louis surprised me with the amount of talent that's in this city. So many talented people. I was actually shocked. Like, I thought I was gonna come here and be like the only dope person. Like, ain't nobody gonna see me in St. Louis. No. You was here. and that was beautiful to me. I will say that I feel like slightly St. Louis needs to adapt a little bit more of that like work together mentality. Like, you don't have to be the next one to pop off from St. Louis. Like 5, 6, 7 people can pop off at the same time. I feel like there's a small piece of like gatekeeping. Not everybody. But I notice it more here than I notice in a city like New York. But there's a lot of work here. There's a lot of money for artists here too. And I feel like St. Louis is so close to like just really exploding onto the music scene. Atlanta, we all know, is like Black Hollywood. Atlanta's very Black. I will say that. I love that. I love like seeing Black excellence. A lot of people, Black people with money in Georgia, big houses, business owners. Everybody owns a business. Half the businesses are Black owned. Like, I go to Massage Envy here in St. Louis, and almost everybody at Massage Envy is white. And the masseuses. Every single person in the Massage Envy by my house is Black. It's almost weird. I walk in, I'm like, look at all these Black people. And I love that. I love that my kids, I'm just gonna give you an example. Before we moved, my son Mason goes to Ladue. He was the only Black child in this entire class. That's crazy to me in 2023. I feel like they should have been like, we need to mix this up a little bit. The class picture, he is the only Black child in the whole class. In this society, that will definitely mess with your mind a little bit as a kid. Like, why is there nobody who looks like me or who can relate to me? In Georgia, everybody Black. So I liked that about it, just because, representation matters, and raising my kids in a space where they can see people who look like them matters, especially in this society where representation is not always on the forefront. So I will say that is a big thing about Atlanta. So far on the scene, the entertainment scene, what I will say is they ain't trying to pay nobody. They trying to get you on stage for the free. And I'm like, I'm talking about events that cost money, are making money, and they want you to just sing and dance for no money. Like, and I've noticed that, yes.
So are you saying that you can do better in St. Louis business-wise, but personally you like?
No, because I think you can also do great in Atlanta business-wise as well. We're entrepreneurs, right? So we produce shows. My husband is an educator. I'm an educator as well. So we can do great. But as an artist, yes, I think you will do better in St. Louis. Just financially, yes. Yes, St. Louis is paying artists. There's tons of gigs where you can get paid. In Georgia, it's because you have to understand, like, when there's so many artists and we're not unionized, we need to unionize. We talked about this earlier. People will just sing for free. So if you say, oh no, I'm not doing it, this is how much I charge, no problem. We'll just get somebody else because it's a million of y'all.
Well, you know what I want to do between me and you? I want to start a collective.
Yeah.
Right? And get the cats who get it and just be like, look, man, we're not going to play
for free
100 shows in St. Louis this year. We're going to create a space for people to come and see and experience. Like, this is a space for people to come and see and experience music.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a gig.
Right.
This is a show.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
There's a huge difference.
There's a difference.
And St. Louis has both. Because I gigged in St. Louis for 3 years did a cover band thing. It was really tough on my voice. Too much singing. Too much.
And that's why.
Really bad on my voice. Like, I really think I have a little bit of permanent damage due to that. I need to go see a
But people
ENT.
always take advantage of the value in yourself that you don't perceive.
Yeah.
And they won't even tell you.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, come do this 3-hour gig for 4-hour gig for $200,
Yes.
singing top 40 music for
That's what I
people
did
for people who don't even know the difference between great and good. Like,
Yeah.
they don't
even
know the difference because
Yeah.
they're drunk. So they don't know the difference.
They're drunk.
So
and
you
the club is smoky as hell.
Yeah.
You can't by the time you're done, you like, thanks, guys.
Or it's their special day. It's their special day, and it's a reception.
Yep.
And they're not there for you.
They're not.
They're not there for you.
And you singing your best
off.
Beyonce. I mean, you singing Tina, you singing Whitney Houston, and everybody just like, they don't care how you could sound.
You're so amazing.
Right.
It was so amazing. I'm like,
Yeah.
how do you even know?
Right.
You don't know.
Yes,
And my
yes.
voice is gone.
Gone. I did that literally for 3 years here, and I made good money, but it was definitely, I knew I couldn't do it forever.
And then you stopped.
Huh?
And then you stopped.
Then I stopped, yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Anything else? I think that's good. Lydia.
Yes.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
So now you're gonna sing some music.
I'm gonna sing some
Are you
music.
gonna sing St. Louis?
You know I'm gonna sing St.
love
Louis. You know it.
So you listen to the next move. Oh, you got a question? Okay, 2 minutes.
How do you decide your price? Oh, okay. Whew, that's a good question. So there's levels, right? And you have to establish this as an artist. There's a price for you alone, show up and sing with tracks. Then there's a price for like something small, acoustic, maybe you and a guitar player. Then there's a price for you and a band. And that, it depends on how many mouths that you have to feed, because when you're the artist, right, you're the boss. So you have to take the money that the people are gonna pay you and feed your band too, or feed your accompanist. And then you have to also just decide, what's it worth to you? I feel like that's how you name your price. Like, what is getting up, getting dressed, leaving the house, giving my gift, what is it worth to me? And every show is different. Some shows may be worth coming out the house for $100 because the show it makes sense. You want to do it. It's a good opportunity. It may make sense. And there's some shows that's like, no way. I'm not doing that for less than $5. I'm not doing that for less than $1,000. I'm not doing that for less than $2,000. So it depends, and it also depends on what value you're gonna bring to the table. So if I'm just like background music versus if I'm the main event, so it depends. I also think you need to ask around too and you never wanna price yourself out. So see what like other working musicians are charging, if they'll share with you. Research online too, look at what people are paying. But what I can tell you is that people are not paying enough. $100 is not enough for a band. It's not enough. Like, how can I eat, much less feed all these musicians for $500, and you want a whole band to come out? That means we all walk out of here with one bill. Do you work for that amount of money? How much are you going to make off this event? These are the questions that need to be answered because people want that live band experience on a track budget.
I'm going to say this and then we got to end. This has been really good. Until you're willing to price yourself out, you cannot price yourself up.
Ooh.
I'm going to say it again. Until you are willing to price yourself out, you can't price yourself up. So until you're willing for somebody to ask you how much you charge and you scared you're going to lose the gig because it's too much, you can never go up.
Yeah.
You can never go up.
Yeah.
I remember
That's
being
true.
asked to do something and I was like, the only way I'm going to do it if it's this much. And if it's not, I don't have to do it.
Yeah. It's
You know,
true.
people will either say yes
Or no.
they'll say no.
You have to be willing to walk away.
You can't be afraid, and this is why you got to have other ways to make money so that you can price yourself right.
Yes.
I don't
yes.
need that. I don't depend on that. So if you want me for that,
then
you're
and that's how you kind of remain like elite. You know, you're not just doing every other gig. Talk about it.
My boss is looking at us. No, he's
Okay, it's
he's kicking
time.
me. He's kicking me out. He's kicking me out. No, thank you, Rex and Jeannie Singfield, Silverback, How Sound. We're getting ready to do a show. Don't go
Yes.
anywhere. This is the Next Move podcast, and we are out.
Bye.